For instance, that you got the great yock on the Mackintosh line was the fact that it was an immediacy. The man did say, yes, and I suppose he was handsome and debonair, devil-may-care, man of the world. She said, no, he's a goofy sort of... And it was... no, it was a thought of the moment. It was as though you'd first discovered what he did look like.
Yes, I hadn't thought before. Oh, now you mention it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if you'd... There was another way of playing it. Indeed there was. The man could have said smart, debonair. No, he was a man in a white coat.
You need to be a bit... have a quirk. I mean, you have to look at things at an odd angle to get the comedy out of them.
Yes.
I mean, you really have to see the madness. I mean, that Myra in Hay Fever is mad because she's so elegant, but the moment, there is one point at the end of the second act where she just goes completely to pieces. The whole thing snaps. And she goes raving mad. All composure's gone to the wind and the elegance is completely gone.
Would you say Kenneth had been quite a big influence on you as
an enormous influence. I mean, I pinch from him all the time.
Can you give us some examples?
Well, in Black Comedy, I'm doing a complete Kenneth. I mean, it's outrageous. If he hadn't seen it, he'd be livid. You know, that awful Mrs. Panic do keep whistling like that. You know, it's pure Ken.
What other kinds of things do you, Nick? I mean...
I think I got mostly from Ken clarity and speed. And incredible deftness within a line, and just speaking very clearly and knowing where you are and knowing the words and being able to play with them and, you know, make them do what you want to do, not as I did, just look at a speech and think, ugh. But, you know, having the speech completely in control and being able to make it do what you want it to do.
Do you remember in the review where you played the very grand English lady at tea? And I was invited by you to tea. Yes. And you remember you said, have I got a goiter? Do you remember?
Yes.
It was incredible, really, because you had to say to me, have I got a goiter hanging here, didn't you?
Yes,
sprouting. With hairs sprouting. Have I got a goiter hanging with hairs sprouting off it? And it was the most terrible, sort of manic. Have I got a goiter hanging with hair? And I had to say, yes. You see, and then she said, of course I have, but we don't discuss it. And it was a marvellous example, in fact, of this sort of thing that you get in comedy, where absolute panic is put into motion and then cut right off. I thought that the first play in the Schaffer-Bill did exactly that. There was a most marvellous opportunity there for that kind of controlled panic, which was screamingly funny when you did it.
Yes, being terribly nervous, yes.
And yet desperately looking composed every time he actually saw you.
Yeah.
And it was all the off moments of panic you conveyed, wasn't it?
Yeah.
To the audience.
Or when he wasn't there.
Precisely,
sure.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm sure this is the kind of panic that you possibly sometimes feel as a person.
Yeah, absolutely. One knows it. One knows it and sees it. I recognise it in myself all the time. You know, it's like I must be controlled and, you know, won't show anything, but underneath one's just falling to pieces.